Okay, we'll now start back with our posting, which is just transferring amounts from our journal to the separate spaces for each account in the ledger. We've already posted rent expense and cash. We'll next go to office supplies. It's a debit on the 2nd for $2,300 from journal page 18. So we go down till we find office supplies. That's a debit on the 2nd. Leave the item column blank. Put in a 2 for the date. You don't put in April again. We have that on the top row. You want to put in the month again unless it changed. So we put in a 2 for the date. We'll leave the item column blank. We'll put in 18 in the posting reference column. That's the journal page number that the entry was made on. Then on the 2nd, we had a debit to office supplies for $2,300. Okay, we have a beginning debit balance and a debit entry. 2 debits, so we're going to add those two together. That's $1,800 plus your $2,300. Makes our new debit balance $4,100. Now the final step. Office supplies is account number 14. So we come back up on the journal. And put the 14 in the posting reference column. Okay, now we got a credit to accounts payable for $2,300, also on the 2nd from journal page 18. So we'll find our accounts payable account. Entry on the 2nd. Leave the item column blank. Put in 18 for the journal page number. It's a credit to accounts payable on the 2nd for $2,300. Right now we have a credit balance and a credit entry. We're going to add those two together. Makes our new credit balance $16,300. The credit balance and a credit entry will add. 2 credits you add, 2 debits you add. If they're different, we'll subtract. Accounts payable is account number 21. So we'll come back up, and in the posting reference column of the journal, we'll put in 21, the account number it was posted to in the ledger. Our prepaid insurance is a debit on the 5th for $6,000. We'll put in a 5 for the date. Leave the item column blank. 18 is our journal page number. That's a debit to prepaid insurance on the 5th for $6,000. We had a beginning debit balance for $3,000. Debit entry for $6,000. 2 debits, we're going to add those together. Makes our debit balance $9,000. Okay, prepaid insurance is account number 13. So we'll come back up, and in the posting reference column of the journal, we'll put in 13. On the 5th, we have a credit to cash for $6,000. So we'll put in a 5 for the date. 18 is your journal page number. And that's a credit to cash on the 5th for $6,000. Now we just look to the most recent debit balance. We have a debit balance for $19,800, credit entry for $6,000. So we're going to subtract. That makes the new debit balance $13,800. Cash is account number 11. So 11 goes back in the posting reference column of the journal. This is fairly repetitive, really an easy part of the process, I think. Now we have a debit to cash for $52,300 on the 10th. That's also from journal page 18. And the debit on the 10th, again, was for $52,300. Okay, now we have a debit balance and a debit entry. So we're going to add those two together. It's 13,800 plus 52,300. Makes our new debit balance 66,100. Cash is account number 11. So we come back and put in 11 in the posting reference column of the journal. Accounts receivable is a credit for 52,300 on the 10th. From journal page 18. It's a credit for 52,300. We got a debit balance and a credit entry, so we're going to subtract. That equals the 61,500 minus the 52,300. So it's a new debit balance of 9,200. Accounts receivable is account number 12. So we come back in the posting reference column of the journal, and we'll put in the account number from the ledger, which was 12. Okay, we have a debit to land on the 15th for 200,000. This one's a little different. No entries, no beginning balance, so we'll put in April. And the date here was the 15th. We put in April 15th. We have to write the month in here because it wasn't in there already. The item column's left blank. This entry was made on journal page 18. It's a debit for 200,000. Which makes the debit balance 200,000. Balance beforehand was 0. Land is account number 16. So we'll come up to the journal. In the posting reference column and alongside land, we'll enter the account number from the ledger, 16. Then we have a credit to cash for $30,000, also on the 15th. From journal page 18, it's a credit to cash for $30,000. All right, we had a debit balance and a credit entry, so we're going to subtract. So $66,100 debit balance minus our $30,000 credit entry leaves us with a debit balance of $36,100. And that should make sense, but it's a debit balance because the $66,100 is larger than the $30,000. Okay, then cash is account number 11. So we'll put it back in the posting reference column of the journal. Accounts payable is a credit for $170,000 on the 15th. Excuse me, I think I said accounts payable. Notes payable is credited for $170,000 on the 15th. So we'll put in the date. Leave the item column blank. That's from journal page 18. It's a credit to notes payable for $170,000, which makes our credit balance $170,000. The previous balance was 0. Okay, notes payable is account number 23. So we come back up, and in the journal posting reference column alongside notes payable, we'll put in the account number from the ledger, which was 23. Okay, then we have a debit to accounts payable on the 17th. So we'll put in 17 for the date. That's journal page 18. And on the 17th, again, we had a debit to accounts payable for $6,450. Okay, notice we had a credit balance and a debit entry. So we're going to subtract. We'll say our $16,300 credit balance minus our $6,450 debit entry. Makes our new credit balance $9,850. Accounts payable is account number 21. come back and put 21 in the posting reference column of the journal. Cash is credited on the 17th for $64.50. So we'll put in a 17 for the date. It's from journal page 18. And it's a credit to cash on the 17th for $6,450. Excuse me. We had a beginning debit balance for $36.01. A credit entry for $64.50. So we're going to subtract. That's the $36.01 minus the $64.50. And that gives us, leaves us with a debit balance of $29,650. Cash is account number 11. So we'll come back up and enter 11 in the posting reference column of the journal. Then we have a debit to accounts payable for $325 on the 20th. From journal page 18, there's a debit to accounts payable for $325 on the 20th. We have a credit balance and a debit entry, so we're going to subtract. So we'll say our credit balance $9,850 minus our debit entry for $325, and that leaves us with an ending credit balance and accounts payable for $9,525. That was account number 21 for accounts payable. So we come back up in the posting reference column of the journal. We enter 21, the account number for accounts payable, the one it was posted to in the ledger. Okay, we have a credit to office supplies for $325, also on the 20th. We'll put in a 20 for the date. 18 is the journal page number the transaction was entered on. It was a credit to office supplies for $325. We have a beginning debit balance for $4,100, credit entry for $325, so we're going to subtract $4,100 minus debit minus the $325 credit. Leaves us with a debit balance of $3,775. Office supplies is account number 14. So we'll come back up and in the posting reference column of the journal, we'll enter 14. The account number for office supplies. Then we have a debit on the 23rd to advertising expense for $4,300. That's a debit on the 23rd from journal page 18 to advertising expense for $4,300. We have a beginning debit balance. We also have a debit entry. So we're going to add those two together. So our $17,800 plus the $4,300 leaves us with an ending debit balance of $22,100. Advertising expense is account number 53. Come back up and alongside advertising expense in the journal we'll put in 53, the account number from the ledger. We also had a credit to cash on the 23rd for $4,300. It's also from journal page 18, and that was a credit to cash for $4,300. All right, we had a beginning debit balance for $29,650, credit entry for $4,300, so we're going to subtract, equals $29,650 minus our credit entry for $4,300. Leaves us with a debit balance of $25,350. Cash is account number 11. We'll come back and in the posting reference column of the journal, we'll put in 11. The account number in the ledger that amount was posted to. And we'll pick back up with the 27th and finish up posting in the next video. Thanks.